Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to those of you around the world. Welcome to the daily Trade the Chain crypto update, where we give you everything you need to know for the next 24 hours and hopefully the next few days. Today is Tuesday, February 28th. This is the last day of February. We have 1 month left in Q1, so something to consider there. Apologies to everyone for being absent yesterday. Was a little under the weather. If I'm being honest, I'm still not 100%, but going to push through as the markets do not sleep for anyone. So I had my break and now we're back to it. So we're looking at the dollar. Again, this is the last day of the month. So we've seen a lot of selling equities and crypto into the end of the month. And typically what you'll see in the beginning of the month is some rebalancing towards the end of the month and at the beginning of the month, I should say, some rebalancing. People are, taking profit or setting bets for the coming month. So you're going to see, some obvious volatility heading into the end of the day. But in my opinion, if we do hold the current support levels that we're going to go over, things potentially look positive. And I think it kind of starts with the idea of what we talked about last week is a swing failure pattern into this demand area and then back lower. So this is exactly what we got. And it's if you're bullish on risk, at least temporarily heading into the next FOMC meeting, where we're likely to potentially see another rate hike, potentially 50 basis point hike, not 50%, 50 basis point hike. So we got bad PCE. We sold off, we held support. We've been, rising a little bit, and the dollar has come off its highs outside of the demand zone. Now, obviously, it wasn't as steep of a drop as we got in early January, but seeing this, come out of the demand zone, get rejected out of the demand zone, positive temporarily, at least moving into the start of the month. Does this last in terms of, does this pop back up into the demand zone, or does this head lower? Anyone's guess is as good as mine right now, but preliminarily seeing this get rejected outside of the demand zone is something that you are wanting to see if you are a bull. So if basically previous daily close is support right now, also lining up with the high from February 17th and some time we traded in February 22nd and 23rd. If we lose this level, then, we're probably going to be headed back down to the 4-hour 200 moving average, which I would say is, around 104 would be my prediction, right around the, 103, high 103, 104. So this little area right here, what the heck? There we go. This little area right here is where I would expect the dollar to drop if it loses 104.6. So knowing what we do about the dollar, looking at equities, this to me does look quite strong. I think probably the biggest thing, and throwback to an old type of indicator that I've used, is the RSI trend. Now, this RSI trend is, started on the 2nd of February, which was the top of the equities rally, and has slowly gone down along with price. Now we have this resistance line right here, tagged it on the 15th, rejected, tagged it on the 27th, rejected, and now trying to tag it again on the 28th. Now if this breaks, it'll basically be a confirmation in the of breaking the RSI trend. And typically what you'll see is usually you'll see this kind of break above the trend first. So if you're trading a trend break, you're long on the retest, and we've obviously survived that for the time being. And so if you're still a continued bull, hoping that 3980 holds, as well as the idea for breaking above the trend and then longing the trend retest. If this breaks higher, then it'll break out of the pretty much the 28-day RSI trend, and will then likely reattack RSI highs, which coincides with, likely higher price action, potentially, breaking this 200 estimated moving average and heading back into, maybe 40, 50 or higher. As you can see, 40, 50, very critical number there. The lows of both February 10th and February 17th, which will likely be resistance if we end up getting higher. So you basically got a little gap in trading right around here. So if you can get above 40.20, you've probably got some room to head up to 40.50 there. So what you want to see is heads here, breaks above that 40-10 level, flips that into support, moves higher, closes this fair value gap area, and then you're back at 40-60 for potentially, a good short or continuation. So, all this is predicated on breaking the RSI trend. If we do not break the RSI trend and are rejected again, we will likely be headed back down to the recent lows, Monday's lows, which would be coinciding with 39.70. So, preliminarily, on the cusp of something good for equities, but need to wait for that confirmation. But if we do get that confirmation, it's pretty big, as this is literally a month-long trend for equities. Looking at Bitcoin, knowing what we do about equity, if we're bullish equities, we're probably bullish Bitcoin. I'm not saying to be bullish equities yet. I'm just saying it's on the precipice of a greater bullish move if it completes. So if that is happening, and I guess, just to kind of draw the parallels here for Bitcoin and equities, Bitcoin has already kind of broken above that trend that it's been in for the majority of February. So that's a good sign for crypto, considering this is a pretty, solid type of analysis for, continuation of price action. So considering it's, held up, more or less at the trend, we are kind of sitting flat and have been for the past several days. But if you're bullish, this is your first kind of check mark for the bulls. Now, we're also over the 1 week VWAP, which is exactly where you want to be for bullish continuation. So zooming in a little bit, we definitely want to see price stay above this, but it's obviously being held below by the 1 hour estimated 200 moving average, and has been since last Thursday, in fact. So broke under it, swing failure pattern up here. That was, beautiful, ugly trading yesterday. And then now we're stuck underneath it. So if we can get above this and flip, 23.6 into support, really good sign for continuation. And I think that will occur if we get a little bit of a pop in equities. So looking at Ethereum, a little bit clearer, still above that estimated 200 moving average, which we called out last Friday. Needed to stay above that for any continuation. Didn't exactly stay above it, but had basically a swing failure pattern below it for about 8 hours. And now we are back towards, looking at 1650. So basically, we're above the VWAP, weekly VWAP, which is positive. We're looking at the 4 hour now. So let's zoom in. And unlike Bitcoin, we are above both the estimated 200 moving average and the VWAP. So we want to stay above here. If we can stay above here, then we have a chance to break 1650, break above 1650. Then you can start to reattack 1680, which, highs from very early February, basically deviated above that, in mid-February. So that is the next resistance target. And if you can get above 1680, then you can start to talk about 1700s and higher. I think that is maybe a little bit overzealous, but I'm not counting out a return to the highs, at least in the start of the month, to trap a lot of buyers as we head into the FOMC meeting. So I do think that based on what we're looking at now, I think, if you're still shorting here, you're more likely to get hurt than not. We basically got, it's holding strong right around 39.80. Swing failure pattern below, looks a little bit like head and shoulders. It's retesting that support, or the trend support. RSI trend looks like it wants to break. No confirmation yet. Still going to take, a couple of hours to either confirm or deny that. But, right now, especially with the dollar, getting rejected out of this demand area is certainly a positive sign. But as you can see, my one worry here is the dollar has been holding the 104.6 level quite strong today. Multiple wicks down to this area. It's still holding on. We've still got, I think, 2 more hours left in this. So, nothing to confirm your bias on right now. But, we do have a lot of potentially good setups across crypto and equities. But my one worry is definitely this dollar potentially trying to move a little bit higher and tamp down anything that we're seeing. So moral of the story for me is equities. I want to see this RSI trend break. If it gets rejected again, then I will remove any of my long bias. And for Bitcoin, I want to see it stay above the 1 week VWAP, and I want to see it ideally stay above 23.3. If it can do both of those things, then I think we will likely be headed higher towards at least 24K, maybe a slow grind back to the top of the range by the first or second week of March. So my current outlook, but otherwise, until we see a grand move, we are likely just to chop around, I'd say 23.2, 23.6, and then we're likely to chop around, 1620 to 1650 for ETH until we see a grander move. So good luck, happy trading, and speak to everybody next week. Or I mean, not next week, tomorrow.